Lately in my work with people, as my clients and I are identifying the things that limit their lives and prevent them from having the things that they most want in their lives, it seems to trace back to this limiting belief of I'm not enough. And when we carry this belief, we tend to create this maladaptive approach of like accomplishing things to prove to the world and ourselves ultimately that we are enough. It's almost like if I only can accomplish this and do this and succeed at this, that then I'll be enough. But of course, enough never comes. In one sense, enough is never enough. Because what happens is even when we accomplish things, we still don't feel like we're enough. So the irony that kind of happens is the more that we push and strive and accomplish things, the less that we feel like we're enough. So it's really important to accept that this way of accomplishing things and doing more and more and more to feel like we're enough doesn't really work. In fact, it kind of perpetuates the fact that we're not enough. So what does work? What I've found is to kind of go back to the source, to kind of go back to the primary experience of when we first felt like we were not enough. And there may be several of these things because, we tend to recreate things, but like pick one of them. And it may be like back in our family of origin, where we felt like we weren't enough to hold the family together, or we weren't enough for the family to get along and all love each other, or it may be that we felt like we weren't enough for our marriage to work, or maybe we weren't enough for our parents to stay together, or we weren't enough to prevent this tragic thing from happening, or a close relative or friend to die. So then my suggestion is to pick one of these primary sources of feeling like you're not enough and to really kind of investigate it, from the perspective of your level of consciousness now. So it's like going back and looking at like what actually happened. What was it that made me feel like I wasn't enough in that experience, and, am I really sure that me not being enough is what led to the unfortunate outcome? And then it's kind of finding some compassion for, is this like the person that I was then, like, why was it that I made the choices that I did? It's probably, I had a reason and it probably made sense for me to make those choices at the time. And doing this helps us heal the wound at its source, right? We're not like trying to fix the secondary things of doing things to prove things to ourselves that we are enough. We're going back to its source and we're healing kind of the original wound, and to do this, it's really good to have guidance and support. Perhaps a therapist or a life coach or a spiritual teacher or someone that can guide you in this process can be very helpful. Someone that's skilled in this type of healing, because we're healing a very deep wound. And that's a little different for each of us, right? Some of us may need to forgive ourselves. Probably most of us need to forgive ourselves. Or we need to find compassion for ourselves, or realize that we did the best we could at the time and that we just weren't able to do what we thought we were supposed to do. So anyway, once we do this, we can kind of find a new ethic, a new way of walking, rather than like proving things with outcomes and saying, only feeling like we're enough if we pull off the right amount of things. We can have a different basis to kind of evaluate ourselves. We can kind of say, did I give it my best? Was it my best effort? And if it was my best effort, then it was enough. If there's more to do, then I can give it more effort, but that's enough too. So anyway, that's my video for this week. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope that you have an awesome week and realize that you are enough in the things that you do. So anyway, I will see you in a week.